Can you get that back to black screen?
Thank you, Jasmine.
You want some light on? I'll hit overhead. We're going to turn the projector off. You want overhead light on?
It might make people sick if they see what I no, I'm good. I'm good in the dark.
All right.
Maybe. The subject tonight, you folks are here because you're interested in astronomy, and the first part is about how do you start an astronomy club, an association. Jasmine has already laid a good foundation working through the Girl Scouts. That's correct, right?
Yes, that's right.
And folks like you that have an interest. 20-some years ago, at Blackwater Falls, the Kanawha County Astronomy Club, they had a presentation, a star party is what we call them. We go out and look at the stars and all the wonders that's up there. We got talking amongst ourselves, people from the local area, just like you are. Well, what do we do? Is there a club or anything? And there wasn't anything. So you do just exactly what she's done. You spark the interest, and you can get a sign-up sheet, whatever, and then plan. You got a great place here to meet once a month, or a couple times a month, whatever it takes. And there's a lot of things you can do. There are a lot of speakers, a lot of people that know a lot of things, and that can offer a big assistance to you. Now, from the scope, John, Dennis?
Just walking out.
You left?
Yeah.
Is there a scope, telescope here?
Yes.
No, I mean, at the park.
Yes, there's one down in the star beacon.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a good start. Because we didn't have anything. It was like everybody brought their own telescope and set them up out in the field and spend a couple of hours together, and that's a great function. And whenever you do that, and somebody brings a covered dish, give me a call and I'll help you out. The Astronomy Club is a real asset to the community for many reasons. And you wouldn't be here if you weren't interested in astronomy. And there's a lot of, you don't have to sit down and read books for weeks and weeks. It's a gradual thing. Whatever interest you have, get a book, read it, it's online, and the computer's a fantastic thing because that's where you get a lot of answers. So, tonight, you're going to hear people talk about, does anybody know what a light year is? You say, well, that star is 30 million light years away.
It's how far between any stars are together.
You gotta grab it. You're good. It's the distance that light travels in 1 year. The speed of light is 186,000 miles a second. So that means that you turn on a flashlight, that light is traveling at 186,000 miles a second. So the distance that light will travel in 1 year is, now, these are huge numbers. When we talk about astronomy, space, the universe, these are monstrous things. They're huge, just like our Earth. In 1 year, light will travel 5.8 trillion miles. hear the government talking about, oh, we've got $4.3 billion that's in the budget, yeah. Well, 1,000 million is a billion. 1,000 billion is a trillion. So now we can see that we've got huge, huge numbers. And where is the closest star to us? Who knows?
The sun?
The sun is the closest star, 93 million miles away. Then the next closest star is 2.8 light years away. Oh, that's not very far. That's in the neighborhood, backyard. Now, if you were going to go and visit that star, and it would take you, if you were traveling at the speed of light, and we don't have anything that travels at the speed of light, it would take 3.8 years to get there. And then it would take 3.8 years to come back to Earth. So you'd be going about 7 years. That's very important to know the terminology, so when you hear it, you have an understanding. It's a unit of measurement. And that unit of measurement is used in the astronomy. And it's very important to know about north, true north, because everything that we do in astronomy is based on the polar axis. And because the Earth now is rotating around at 1,100 miles an hour. If you went outside there, you don't really see it because the Earth is so huge. But we rotate at about 1,100 miles an hour. At the same time, we're going around the sun at about 6,700 miles an hour. So, why are these movements important? Because if you're going to build or set up a place to use a telescope, it's important because you have to have the telescope lined up on a polar axis so that as the Earth rotates, it still stays on the same star. Pretty neat stuff. With all the new scopes, and I think we're talking about two there, they're motorized. Magic. GPS, it will automatically line that scope up and track. And I hope nobody has gone out and spent $89 on a telescope at Walmart. They don't work too well. And I'm not going to get into that. There are scopes available, just like the plug situation. If you want to look through a telescope, you go to an event like this, there's going to be numerous ones this coming summer out here that you can come out and look through a big telescope. And you can see the planets, their moons, other galaxies, nebulas. Now, a nebula is a gaseous cloud, very huge and very dense, because that's where stars are born. It keeps shrinking and smaller and smaller, more gravity, and then all of a sudden, the star will ignite from that mass. It's a lot more complicated than that, but for the purpose of what we're doing, it's really neat. There's Orion Nebula in the Orion constellation. It's probably one of the nicest that you can look at. Primarily from about December, maybe late November through now. Of course, Orion's setting now, right? Yes. Pretty close. over there, that's where it's at, in the constellation of Orion. And that nebula, if you have a pretty good scope, you look in the center, there's a cluster of 4 stars, real close together. That's called a trapezium. And 2 of those stars are double. I mean, like 2 suns, right close together. So we're looking at billions, remember that big number, billions of other suns. When you look in the sky and you're looking at the stars, those are other suns, like our sun. Some much bigger, some smaller. But it's very important your beginning observatory is nothing more than setting a telescope up on a nice little piece of ground and being outside. Now, fortunately, Kanawha County, they have a nice observatory. In fact, a couple of buildings that they're working on, they're mobile, that they just simply hold over the scope, and they stay there, that's where they live. You come out there, you can open up and slide the building roof off, and there it is, and it's ready to go. Or you can have domes. Domes are rather expensive and complicated, but you can do that. You don't need to spend $25,000 for a dome when you can build a nice little building and 4 wheels on it and be able to roll it right off of the telescope. That way you have it. You haven't rolled off right, Roger?
No.
No? What do you have?
Let's have a building with a tall angle with a
Up in operation in about 10, 15 minutes. And if you get serious enough that you think that's what you want, and you can build one here on the park, which can be used by everybody. And that might be a project that you want to look at, or maybe somebody that's, coming behind you, you can take it on as a project. There's plenty of good advice from expert people that have done it all the time. The Kanawha Valley Club and the Central Appalachian Astronomy Club, that's the one I belong to. And we started 20 years ago. And it's just baby steps as you go. It depends on the interest. And you can call any one of us, presenters or somebody that you know that knows astronomy, and ask them questions. And that's how you find out the answers to your problems to make it really good. The important thing is having a location where you know where the North Star is, and I'm not going to get into details, maybe somebody else got a presentation on it, but it's the Big Dipper, and again, the Big Dipper, Dipper part is just the 2 stars that straight line up. The first star you look at will be the North Star. It's not as bright as what you would think. You say, oh, that's not very, very bright. But that's where in 20, 30,000 years, it won't be there. It'll be in some other point that our axis is at when we point it. But if you're serious about an observatory, you can get a hold of me, Rodney. We'd be more than happy to guide you in the right direction without spending a ton of money. That's the big thing. Save